Hi again then guys, and welcome to another Special Projects Replica build, and this is a replica which we have actually done before on Gran Turismo 6, but I knew as soon as I planned to do special projects on Gran Turismo Sport that this was definitely one of the tunes and builds that I wanted to bring back, because now we can do it even more accurately, especially visually. Because on Gran Turismo 6, of course, all you can do is paint it orange and fit it with black rims. That's about it. Whereas now with decals, you can make it much, much closer. Now, as far as the visuals on this car, you can get the livery on my community page. So if you search HSG under the community livery section, and if it's not there, if you're watching this later on, for instance, just cycle through the older ones and you'll find it eventually. Or just find one of my newer liveries and link through to the page and you'll find it. It's not 100% accurate because of one thing in particular, and that is that on the side of the car where it says 720 Mirage, which the real car has, it's in the Ford GT font, that kind of double stripe font. And I wasn't able to find that to get it into the game, so what I did instead was I wrote it in license plate font, which, you know, it's not ideal, but it's a means to an end. The rest of the car, though, is very close. The tone of orange, the rims, the detailing with the carbon intakes and the lip spoiler, the license plate even, is of one of the real models, etc, etc. Now, as far as the tune, well, we'll take a look at that now, of course, and then, as usual, we'll put it all together and then take it out on a track. So as far as the tune setup goes, we are running very, very close specs to the real-life car, and once again, this is why I wanted to bring back this replica, because my initial one was actually not as accurate as I thought it was back then. The weight was far too low, and the power, funnily enough, was not high enough, because although it's called the 720, it's actually got more than 720 horsepower. It's actually got 746. Now, you can't get exactly 746 on the game, but you can get 748, which is pretty close. And as far as the weight, I had it way down at like 1,320 kilos. It should be a lot higher, around 1,580, which is what it actually weighs. AVRO proposed to make the car a lot lighter, but I don't believe they ever actually did. But still, that's not ridiculously heavy anyway. As far as traction control, of course that's down to you. I've got it turned off, and it's a pretty docile car, surprisingly docile actually for such a powerful machine. We've got sport softs. I would definitely recommend that. You can have a whole lot of fun with it, but still put in a good lap. Brake balance we haven't touched. As far as the rest of the suspension in particular, it's really fortunate that you can drop it down to 85mm, because that is the exact amount that they drop the ride height in real life. 25mm lower than stock, so that's fortunate that we can do that. So, as I have, you want that slammed all the way down. We've increased the frequency a little bit to 1.9. You don't want it to be overly stiff. It's not a full-on race car, of course. Anti-roll we've got on 6 and 5. Compression on the dampers I've got on 62 with the rebound on 90, so that it's a bit stiffer through the corners, a little bit more of a performance feel. Not that it's a slouch anyway. Neutral camber, neutral toe, of course, again, that's down to you if you want some. Downforce you can't adjust, there's no real need to for this car. As far as the diff, I have fitted the diff, but in a similar way to my GT3 RS replica, I've left it with the stock numbers. And I would recommend trying that out, even if you plan to use different numbers after, because you can have so much fun. It's a really good mix for this car of good handling, but also just give it a little bit of throttle. And it's got so much power and torque that you can flick the tail out and really get some nice drifts out of it as well, especially in tight corners. And as far as the gearbox, you literally want to leave that stock, because that's the same gearbox that they're using in the car. The ratios are already more than long enough. In real life, it's a 220 mph car, similar kind of performance on the game. The acceleration is similar as well. So that's how it all comes together. But now, of course, let's take it out on a track. Now, I was kind of annoyed that I couldn't get the correct font on the side of the car, because it would have looked that much better with it, but even as it is, it's a very close replica visually and performance-wise, and it's a lot more accurate than it was on Gran Turismo 6, and that's the main thing. Overall, it's not a replica which many people will do. It's not a tuner car that many people have even heard of, but it's a nice equivalent for the Ford GT as kind of like the HPA Golf or the HPA TT Quattro or a variety of others, but on a whole different level. Of course, in terms of power and performance, a true supercar, of course, by anyone's standards. And so, if you do decide to use this replica build, with the tune, maybe combining that with the livery as well, which is of course ideal, then I hope you have a whole lot of fun with it. If you want to check out my other replicas and just circuit tunes, drag tunes, etc., then you can click through at the end to see those. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.